He wrapped his lies in Christmas paper. I unwrapped his karma. They say Christmas is the season of giving. But nobody tells you what it feels like when you realize you are the gift. I didn't discover my fiancé's betrayal in spring or summer. I discovered it under twinkling lights, fake smiles, and neatly wrapped boxes. This is the story of how the man I planned forever with used my love like a credit card. And how the most expensive gift he ever received was the one that destroyed the life he built on lies. The gift that cut too deep. The first scream never left my throat. It stayed trapped in my chest as I stood barefoot on the cold marble floor of our Manhattan apartment, staring at the receipt trembling in my hand. $18,740. Charged to my card. Again. Christmas music floated softly from the speaker. Silent night. The irony burned. I had trusted Daniel Pierce with my finances the way I trusted him with my heart. Temporary, he'd said. Just until my bonus clears. That excuse had wrapped itself around me for months like tinsel, shiny, distracting, choking. I scrolled through my banking app, my pulse pounding louder than the radiator. Designer watches. Limited edition sneakers. Luxury cologne sets. All delivered to his office address. None for me. That's when I saw it. A note attached to one of the charges. For Lauren. Christmas trip prep. Lauren. I felt the floor tilt. Outside, New York glittered with holiday magic. Inside, my engagement ring felt heavier than iron. I had been budgeting, sacrificing, even skipping flights home to Atlanta to save for our future. Turns out, I was funding someone else's Christmas fantasy. And that was the moment something inside me went very, very quiet. Because heartbreak screams. But revenge? Revenge plans in silence. When love starts lying back. I didn't confront him. That surprised even me. Instead, I cleaned the apartment like a woman preparing for guests. Every surface polished. Every emotion hidden. Daniel came home that night smelling like winter cologne and lies, kissing my forehead like I was still his safe place. I smiled. That scared me. He handed me a small box. Inside was a delicate gold bracelet. Pretty. Light. Cheap. I recognized the brand instantly. Department store clearance. Probably bought with reward points. Open yours, I said softly, sliding a massive box toward him. His eyes lit up like a child's. Inside. A limited edition Swiss watch, engraved with Forever Yours, EC. He didn't notice my hand shaking. Later that night, as he slept, I unlocked his laptop using the password I'd memorized years ago. Trust makes you careless. Betrayal makes you sharp. Emails. Hotel bookings. Aspen. 2 tickets. 1 room. Lauren wasn't imaginary. She was real. Blonde. Influencer adjacent. Tagged in photos wearing gifts I bought. I didn't cry. Instead, I opened a new folder on my desktop. I named it Christmas. The Girl Who Learned to Watch. By December 10th, I knew everything. I learned how Daniel lied. Never directly, always by omission. I learned he bragged about me at work like a trophy he'd already sold. I learned Lauren thought I was his sister. That part almost made me laugh. I followed him to Chicago on a business trip, booking a seat 3 rows behind him. I watched him text her hearts while pretending to review spreadsheets. The betrayal hurt differently now. Quieter. Colder. Focused. I started moving money, not stealing, just protecting. Legal. Clean. Strategic. The way my mother taught me when my father disappeared with her savings years ago. History repeats itself when you ignore it. I didn't. I began documenting everything. Screenshots. Dates. Receipts. Even voice notes recorded through the apartment's smart assistant when Daniel didn't know it was listening. Every lie added weight. Every kiss deepened the fall he didn't see coming. And as Christmas approached, so did my gift. Aspen snow, blood red flags. Aspen was his dream. He'd been hinting for years. One day, babe. This year, I made it happen. Luxury chalet. Mountain view. Fireplace roaring. Everything paid in advance. He proposed we go together after Christmas. I agreed, then quietly upgraded the plan. Lauren arrived 2 days before me. I knew because I paid for her flight. From my burner phone, I watched her Instagram story. Champagne. Snow boots. The watch on Daniel's wrist flashing unmistakably. I arrived the next morning. The look on his face when he saw me in the hotel lobby was priceless, confusion colliding with terror. "Surprise," I said sweetly. Lauren stood frozen beside him. The air cracked. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Because the most powerful revenge isn't exposure. It's timing. The calm before the collapse. That night, we sat by the fire like a broken Christmas card. Daniel stammered explanations. Lauren cried. I listened. I told them I forgave them. That shocked them more than anger ever could. I toasted to honesty. To new beginnings. To truth. They didn't know I had already emailed Daniel's firm. Or that the watch was insured in my name. Or that Lauren's brand deals were about to receive a very interesting package. I slept peacefully for the first time in weeks. Because tomorrow wasn't Christmas. Tomorrow was collection day. And I always collect what I'm owed. Christmas morning, no wrapping required. Christmas morning in Aspen was unreal. Snow falling like confession. Church bells echoing across white peaks. Daniel tried to act normal. He kissed my cheek, poured mimosas, laughed too loudly. Lauren avoided my eyes, her hands shaking as she scrolled through her phone. I watched them both like a director observing actors who hadn't read the final pages of the script. I handed Daniel his second gift. A slim envelope. Inside was a reservation confirmation. A luxury couple's retreat in Malibu for February.
Non refundable.
His name only. I wanted you to have something just for yourself, I said gently. Guilt flickered across his face. He hugged me too tightly. Lauren excused herself to the balcony. I followed moments later. I didn't know, she whispered, tears streaking down her mascara. He said you two were done. I believe you, I said and meant it. Then I told her the truth. Every detail. She didn't scream. She didn't slap him. She just went very still. That's when I knew Christmas had already done its work. When influencers lose their shine. Back in New York, the snow melted, but consequences didn't. Lauren posted an apology video 3 days after Christmas. Not to me, to her followers. Sponsors don't like scandal, especially when it involves stolen luxury gifts and someone else's credit card trail. I never tag her. I never commented. I simply forwarded receipts. Meanwhile, Daniel's office holiday party arrived. I attended, arm in arm, wearing emerald green like I was unbreakable. His colleagues complimented me. His boss toasted our engagement. Then the email landed. An internal audit request. Detailed. Precise. Daniel's firm handled high-value accounts. Ethics mattered. And Daniel had been expensing gifts meant for clients. He looked pale when his phone buzzed. I smiled and raised my glass. Because justice doesn't always shout. Sometimes it wears heels and waits. The watch that ticked backward. The insurance company called on January 3rd. Miss Carter, we've approved your claim. The Swiss watch Daniel loved so much? Reported stolen. Because technically it was bought with my money. Insured in my name. They required a police report. I filed it. Daniel came home furious. Do you know what this looks like? I do, I said calmly. It looks like accountability. He slept on the couch that night. 2 days later, he was asked to turn in his badge, pending investigation. Time slowed, and for the first time, he realized something was happening that he couldn't charm his way out of. The engagement that wasn't. I mailed back my wedding dress. Didn't cry once. Then I scheduled lunch with his mother in Chicago, sweet woman, always kind to me. I told her the truth before he could rewrite it. She listened quietly. Then she said something that stayed with me. Men like that don't lose women. They lose mirrors. Daniel called me screaming that night. You're destroying my life. No, I said softly. I'm just stepping out of the way. Silence followed. The engagement ended with a single email to friends, family, vendors.
Clear. Honest.
Graceful. I kept my dignity. He lost his audience. The lawsuit under the tree. January 15th. While Daniel scrambled to find work, a certified letter arrived. Not from me. From my attorney. I wasn't suing him for heartbreak. I was suing for financial fraud, emotional damages, and unauthorized use of funds. Everything documented. Everything provable. He called me one last time. Please, he whispered. Let's talk. I looked at the city lights outside my window. New York, relentless and bright.
We are, I said.
Just not privately anymore. And as I hung up, I realized the truth. The man who used me for Christmas gifts had just become one. When silence goes viral, I never posted a thing. That's what confused people the most. The story still spread, not through drama, but through absence. Friends noticed I stopped appearing in Daniel's photos. Vendors quietly refunded deposits. Mutuals whispered. Silence has a way of speaking louder than accusations. Then someone leaked the lawsuit filing. No names dragged.
No insults thrown.
Just facts. The comments weren't cruel. They were disappointed. That's worse. Daniel tried to reclaim the narrative with a carefully worded post about private matters and personal growth. It lasted 12 minutes before screenshots surfaced. Timestamps, transaction trails, hotel bookings. I was in Atlanta visiting my mother when my phone lit up. Evelyn, are you okay? I am, I said honestly. For the first time, the job interview he didn't get. Daniel flew to Los Angeles chasing a fresh start. I knew because his resume suddenly showed up in a recruiter thread I was part of. Marketing strategists tend to cross paths. I didn't sabotage him. I simply didn't recommend him. Neither did anyone else. Word travels fast in professional circles when trust is questioned. A quiet label followed him. Liability. He called me from LAX, voice thin. You don't have to ruin everything. I'm not, I replied. I'm just not saving you. That was the moment he understood something fundamental. Love had protected him before. Now it wasn't. Lauren breaks the pattern. Lauren reached out. Not to apologize, she'd done that already, but to thank me. She told me she'd ended things with Daniel. Told me she'd started therapy. Told me she'd learned how easily charm disguises manipulation. I used to think winning meant being chosen, she said. Now I think it means walking away. I believed her. Sometimes revenge isn't about destruction. Sometimes it's about stopping the cycle. I wished her well. And I meant that too. Courtrooms are cold places. The hearing was brief. Daniel looked smaller there.
No tailored suit. No confident grin.
Just a man sitting with the consequences of his choices. The judge didn't care about emotions. Only evidence. And I had plenty. The ruling wasn't dramatic. It was fair. Reimbursement. Penalties. A formal record. Daniel didn't look at me when it was over. I didn't look back. Because closure doesn't require eye contact. The quiet return of self. I moved apartments. Nothing extravagant. Just sunlight, hardwood floors, and a view of the river. I redecorated slowly, choosing pieces I loved, not ones meant to impress. One evening, I found the gold bracelet Daniel had given me. I donated it. Then I booked a solo trip to Santa Fe.
No agenda. No expectations. Just me.
On Christmas ornaments still packed in a box, I wrote a note. Never confuse generosity with obligation. I smiled. Because I hadn't just survived betrayal. I had outgrown it. The call I didn't expect. It was late February when Daniel called again. I almost didn't answer. His name on my screen felt like an echo from another life, one I'd already packed away. But something in me, curiosity, maybe closure, pressed accept. I need help, he said.
No anger. No manipulation.
Just desperation stripped bare. He told me he'd been blacklisted from 3 firms. That the lawsuit followed him like a shadow. That he was selling things to cover debts. I thought you loved me, he finished quietly. I did, I said. That's why this hurts you. He went silent. Because for the first time, he understood the difference between love and rescue. Chicago, where it all began. I flew to Chicago for a conference, Neutral Ground. That's where Daniel and I had first met years ago, over bad coffee and shared ambition. Walking those streets again felt like stepping into a memory I no longer belonged to. He showed up uninvited. Thinner. Older. Uncertain. "I just want to explain," he said. I listened. Not because he deserved it, but because I did. When he finished, I told him the truth. "You didn't lose me because of Lauren," I said. "You lost me because you saw love as a resource." That sentence broke something in him. And finally, I walked away without looking back. The article, the feature ran in March. Not about Daniel.
About me.
A business magazine highlighted my work, my resilience, my strategic thinking. They mentioned the lawsuit briefly, framed not as scandal, but as boundaries enforced. The comments were supportive, respectful. Daniel texted one line, "I see you." I didn't respond, because being seen no longer required his permission. The house in Aspen. I sold the Aspen chalet. Technically, I'd bought it as an investment months earlier. Daniel never knew. The timing wasn't revenge. The profit was generous. I donated part of it to a women's financial literacy program in Atlanta. Quietly. No press. It felt right. Because if pain had taught me anything, it was this. Empowerment multiplies when shared. The invitation. In early April, I received an invitation. Daniel's sister was getting married. She wrote, "I know things ended badly, but you were family to me." I stared at the card for a long time. Then I RSVP'd.
Yes.
Not for him. For myself. Because I was no longer running from the past. I was walking through it, unafraid. And somewhere deep down I knew. The final gift was ready. The wedding without illusions. The wedding was in Napa. Sun-drenched vineyards, white roses, laughter drifting through the air like forgiveness. I arrived alone, wearing soft blue, something peaceful, something earned. Daniel saw me immediately. Our eyes met for half a second. He looked away. I hugged his sister. I congratulated her. I danced. I lived. And I noticed something quietly devastating. No one hovered around Daniel anymore.
No admiration.
No protection. No borrowed confidence. He was just a man standing in the background of a life he once thought he controlled. And that, I realized, was already a kind of justice. The envelope on the table. During the reception, Daniel's mother pulled me aside. "There's something you should know," she said gently. She handed me an envelope Daniel had asked her to give me, if I showed up. Inside was a handwritten letter.
No excuses. No manipulation.
Just acknowledgement. He admitted he had used me. Admitted he had mistaken generosity for weakness. Admitted he was finally learning the cost of entitlement. At the bottom, one line stood out. "I hope one day I can give instead of take." I folded the letter carefully. Growth doesn't erase damage, but it does close chapters. The gift I left behind. I left my own envelope at the venue, addressed to Daniel. Inside, the final paperwork withdrawing the remaining claims against him. Conditional upon one thing. He had to complete a court-approved financial ethics program and make documented restitution to a women's nonprofit I'd chosen. Not to me, to others. That was the gift. Accountability without annihilation. Because real revenge isn't about ruining someone. It's about making sure they never repeat the harm. Christmas, 1 year later. The next Christmas looked different.
No chaos. No pretending.
Just quiet joy. I hosted dinner in my new home, overlooking the Hudson. Friends. Laughter. Warm light. No one took more than they gave. At midnight, I stepped outside, the city glowing beneath me. I thought about the woman I'd been the year before, bleeding silently under Christmas lights.
She would be proud of me.
Because I didn't become bitter. I became free. The only gift that lasts. People still ask how I won. They expect a dramatic downfall, a ruined man, public humiliation. But that's not what happened. Daniel lost access to my love, my resources, my protection. I gained clarity. The final payoff wasn't his suffering. It was my peace. Because the best revenge isn't something you hand to someone else. It's what you keep for yourself. And that Christmas, I gave myself everything. If this story taught me anything, it's this. Love should never cost your dignity. Generosity should never feel like obligation. And the most powerful gift you can give is knowing when to walk away. Thank you for listening to my story. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my videos. Thank you.